And speaking of the roads, folks, if you're going out for brunch, church in the morning, you might want to just be aware.
Yeah, you certainly do. I mean, already it's 30 degrees, Nick, so any of that refreezing could have already occurred. So right now, temperatures, you can see 30 degrees in Charlotte, most spots across the metro at or below the freezing mark, and we're in the 20s up in the mountains. So this is a risk for everyone. Now, up in the mountain areas, they're typically a little bit more used to seeing these kind of conditions, especially this time of year. But there is a fresh layer of snow and sleet and freezing rain for essentially everyone across the area, or at least there was this time 24 hours ago. So think about if you were out and about earlier today, if you saw any of that moisture kind of lingering on the sidewalk, on the roads, those areas would see the refreeze. If you stayed inside most of the day, you are probably good to go. Just take it easy if you are heading out early tomorrow morning. It is going to be bitterly cold, and that's not something I want to ignore with this kind of stretch of colder weather. It is currently feeling like 24 in Charlotte, but single digits and teens up in those mountain areas. So of course, black ice, very dangerous. Really the main reason why is not just the fact that it's ice on the roadways, but it's such a thin layer of ice, and of course this goes for freezing rain that accumulates on other surfaces as well, that it essentially takes the color of whatever it is above. So if it is on roadways, typically that's where the name black ice comes from. It can be on those sidewalks, it can be on those bridges and overpasses, and those of course freeze first because of the fact that it gets cold air on the top, cold air on the bottom. Think about the fact that when you go over a bridge, you do have of course all of that fresh open air. Well, if that's cold and it's cold on the top, of course it cools off rather than a typical roadway that has all that insulation beneath. So of course be mindful of that if you're out and about. Not a lot of good traction here when there's widespread ice, so just be careful if you are heading out and about. You've probably seen a lot of those treated roadways though the past few days. Current satellite and radar shows no additional moisture falling right now, although there is a little bit of snow likely falling at the highest elevations of the mountains. That should wrap up overnight. Really our next big change comes with a reinforcing shot of cold air. A very brief cold front passes through the area Monday through Tuesday, eventually cooling us off even more. When you think about temperatures in the 40s, which is what we have tomorrow afternoon, this is enough with the sunshine to melt that additional ice that could refreeze overnight, but we are still about 10 degrees below average for this time of year. So this cold air is going to continue. The bitterly cold mornings, the really, really cold afternoons. So we're not really going to see a substantial warm up anytime soon. At the end of the 7-day forecast, we are seeing hints of getting closer to average for this time of year, which is about 52 for a high, 32 for a low. But as we look at the extended forecast, another big shot of cold air is expected to come in. This time it doesn't just include us here on the East Coast, but really much of the deep South and all the way toward the Midwest. So pretty much the next 2 weeks or so, the only state that probably will not be participating in winter is going to be Florida. Everyone else, bitter cold air is coming back, and that is going to include us here in the Charlotte area. So of course, with that, the million-dollar question becomes, if we see precipitation, is there another chance of wintry weather? If we get everything happening at the exact perfect time, just like we did with this system, certainly a possibility. But at this point, way too early to know. Here's your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. You can clearly see every single day is below average for this time of year. Looking at the extended forecast, we will see another cool down as we get closer to next weekend, which of course is the big holiday weekend for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is on Monday, the 20th. Yes, there will be a chance for some rain, but colder temperatures will also begin to move in.
All right, thank you for that update, Brittany.